Imagine you are walking in a remote forest or climbing a mountain when suddenly mysterious ruins appear in front of you. Abandoned places can be found everywhere, and many of them are still waiting to be discovered. Some are hidden in remote areas. Some are simply superbly disguised or even a military secret. However, it is worth being on the alert because unusual objects can be found absolutely everywhere, even in the vicinity of your own home. If mysterious places and archeological finds fascinate you, then join our journey. The island of Bali is known for its temples and picturesque landscapes. Thousands of tourists visit this Indonesian island every year, so the construction of a luxury, the hotel seems to be a completely justified decision. Probably that's what investors thought when they started building the Bedugul Taman Hotel near the Brother Lake in the 90s. However, this Balinese-style architectural structure was never completed. The hotel, comfortably located on the mountainside, was abandoned at the construction stage without waiting for a single visitor and remained in desolation. Locals believe that there is a curse on the walls of the hotel and that the spirits of workers who died during construction visit this place. For holidaymakers in Bali, this is a good reason to get acquainted with this mystery, even if there may be more reasonable reasons why this jungle hotel was forced to close its doors. In the extreme capital of Ukraine, the city of Kiev, where residential areas merge with dense pine forests, there is a building that seems to have no place here at all. It's as big as a football stadium and looks like a giant flying saucer that accidentally landed on the ground. This futuristic structure is a relic of Soviet times, but behind its facade, there is neither an area nor a building in which communist rulers could sit. This is nothing but a bus fleet built in 1973. The building was an important hub of international and national bus routes departing from Kiev. They worked here more than 1,000 people, and more than 400 buses started their trips here or were stored during the harsh winter months. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the significance of this structure became less and less, and in 2015, the number 7 bus fleet ceased to exist. In the center of Budapest, on the banks of the Danube, there is an impressive example of Hungarian industrial history. At the time of construction in 1914, the Calvinfield Power Station, it was one of the most powerful in Europe. But today, such a building is near the center. The city seems to be a relic of antiquity. But it is interesting that the building was built in the Artec style, and thanks to this fits into the urban environment. Its purpose is completely unclear to the observer. Hardly anyone will suspect an industrial enterprise behind the facade of this structure. The Kielenfeld power plant operated until 2007. Now it is a building listed as a historical monument, as well as most of the historical buildings in the center of Budapest. Most of the stations have passed into private ownership, and at the same time, a kind of museum has been created over the years, where visitors can admire the preserved machines and turbines. On the territory of the station, there is also a control room with levers and a glass ceiling in the Art Deco style. Traces of the Nazi era can be found all over Germany and Europe, but they are hardly as impressive and are known as Prora on the island of Rügen along the coast, the Baltic Sea. The chain of buildings stretches for almost 4.5 kilometers, which still attracts the attention of numerous visitors today. Prora was designed in Germany in the 1930s by the National Socialist Association Strength Through Joy and was conceived as a holiday home designed for 20,000 guests. However, The outbreak of World War II prevented the resort from carrying out its instead. In the 1950s, the became a special purpose military zone, and the building was used as barracks by the border troops of the GD. After the war, disputes about the historical heritage and the lack of the idea of using these structures led to the gradual destruction of the facility. Only in 2004, it was possible to reach peace agreements with private investors. At the same time, the hotel and gastronomic industry of the sanatorium Prora still become a seaside resort. The Duga radar station in the north of Ukraine is the most famous and abandoned place in the Chernobyl area. However, after the infected radiation zone was opened to visitors in 2011, this mysterious radar became public again. The Ark is a radar station designed for early detection of launches of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Despite the fact that it was once a specially protected top-secret object, a giant structure can be seen from afar, towering over the horizon. It makes a surreal impression from afar. It seems that this is a huge wall, but upon closer examination, it turns out to be a huge dilapidated structure, consisting of hundreds of huge antennas and turbines. This is an ideal place for adventure lovers, but at the moment, a visit to the Duga station is only possible as part of excursions around Chernobyl. During the Third Reich, not only highways were built, mountain tunnels were dug in some areas at that time, which were used as protective bunkers or underground industrial facilities. Some of the most impressive projects of that period, tunnels near the Polish city of Walbrzych, also known as the Giant Project. The system of mountain passages under the Exenge Castle, with a length of several kilometers, was built by the forces of prisoners of war and concentration camp prisoners in the period from 1943 to 1945, however. Opinions differ about the purpose of this object. Some believe that the tunnels were supposed to serve for underground weapons production. Others that the Giant Project was planned as a new place for Hitler's S headquarters. In addition, another myth is connected with this construction plan. One day, a train fully loaded with gold disappeared in this area and never appeared again. Adventurers have believed for decades that the legendary golden train could be found somewhere in an intricate system of tunnels. But even the most promising attempts to find its location each time ended in failure. Turkish Disney castles, living in a fairy tale castle or a medieval fortress, is undoubtedly a dream. In a small Turkish town in the northeast of the country, this dream can come true because there are at least 700 such fantastic buildings here. Each house has its own tower and 2 beautiful balconies, but all these mini castles look exactly the same. So the village of Burj Albaz, which has a shopping center and a mosque, looks more like a mirage, not an ideal of life in the suburb. Construction began in 2014 with the expectation that the project would be supported by wealthy Arab investors, but the plan failed. In 2018, about half of the houses were built, after which the project was abandoned due to the economic crisis and the fall of the Turkish lira. Now, this place is loved by fans of extreme tourism. Although many villas are built or at least look like from the outside, none of the other infrastructures of the city has been completed. To live in this fairy tale is impossible. Megalomania was characteristic of the leaders of National Socialism. One of the projects planned during this period was the German Stadium. He had to be. It was built as one of the monumental objects of the Congress Square of the National Socialist German Workers' Party in Nuremberg. Hitler placed the responsibility for its construction on his favorite architect, Albert Speer. The finished stadium was supposed to be more than 800 meters long, 400 meters long, and almost 100 meters high. However, the project never went beyond the planning, and the arena, which was supposed to accommodate 400,000 spectators, was never built. The Second World War and the end of the dictatorship prevented its construction. Today, the largest sports facility ever built in the world is the Strahov Stadium in Prague, which once housed more than 220,000 spectators. China is a country that has developed a lot in economic terms in recent years. The growth of prosperity has prompted many Chinese to buy new modern cars, and at the same time, the government has decided to remove cars with high emissions from public roads, but the decision on what to do with the numerous discarded cars, trucks, and mopeds was not found. Cars need to be disposed of somewhere, and in this regard, China is one of the countries with the most unusual landfills in the world. Often huge mountains of metal lie far from big cities, but sometimes the situation takes very unusual forms. In the city of Yuyu, residents of the outskirts face a huge cemetery of trucks not far from home, and in Hangzhou, a huge pile of equipment is located right in the center of the city, and not far from the city of Chonk, hundreds of yellow taxis regret in the forest. Siberia is a wild and fascinating region of Russia. There are many things in its vast expanses disappeared or was intentionally hidden. This is rarely found. So it is very surprising when a whole warehouse of military equipment is suddenly found in the Siberian wilderness. The Russian army faced a similar incident a few years ago, when about 100 tanks were found rusting in the middle of the forest without any protection near the Yekaterinburg Armory. A similar story can repeat if the recently published photos turn out to be real. They allegedly depict a fleet of gigantic vehicles. Hundreds of tanks, cannons, trucks, and other military equipment are visible, but the local time has not yet been confirmed, so we can only guess if there is some truth in this finding. There are a huge number of amazing places in the world. Some of them are already known, while others still remain in the shadows. Some of the places presented in this video are witnesses of their time. Others are shrouded in mystery, or the existence has not yet been proven. I invite you to express your opinion in the comments. What of what you watched the video you already knew, and what you were particularly interested in? Perhaps you yourself would like to visit these places, or are already ready to share your experience. And that's it for me. If you like this video, then don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell. For me, your activity is the best reward. Thank you for your attention. I'll see you soon.